ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां निधाय हृषिविशेषं विधाय गुरुवन्दनं बालानां सुखबोधाय क्रियते तर्कसङ्ग्रहः. What is happening here? How is this meeting going on? Yeah. Just a minute. Mute all and yes. Too much of racket coming in from there also. Okay. All right. Then let us start. Any questions, clarifications? Okay. In fact, a point I didn't mention last time is also. Okay. Are you all hearing me on Zoom?
Yes, Swamiji.
Okay. Okay. Any point that is? It also shows the Anubandha Chatushtaya, the first verse, about who's the Adhikari, what is the subject matter, what is the connection. All this I'm sure is clear for you all. Okay. Subject matter is Tarka, who's the Adhikari, Balanam. That means you have studied this Sanskrit, etc., but not studied Tarka. Okay, subject matter is this, connection with this text to the, all that is clear. Okay, I don't want to go into that now. Okay. Therefore, we said Sapta Padartha, 7 Padarthas, and we saw the arguments. Okay, this is like classification. These are the 7 things that make up your reality. Padartha, literal definition is the Padarthanam Artha. What you can name. Anything you can give a name to will be called a Padartha. Okay? Yeah. Word. Padam. Huh? Meaning or object or what it stands for. Can mean it has a the meaning is meaning as well as what it stands, what the word stands for. Okay, yeah. Therefore, it can be an object. So, what can be the padarthas? When you name something, what does it stand for? Dravyam. Object. Something that has got substance in it. We will define each separately. Gunaha, a quality, black, green, etc. Karma, what you are doing. Samanya dharma, Vishesha dharma. General qualities, special qualities. Okay. Samavaya, this is very peculiar to Tarka, we will come to it. Abhava, non-existence. Why? Can you name it or you not name it? Is there a pot here? Okay. On the table, is there a pot? Gataha nasti. So he is saying Gata is not there. Na asti is not there. Okay. Therefore, abhava is also taken as a padartha in Nyaya. Now look at it. Everything that you name will come under this. So, in the way Tarka looks at it is that all the realities in the world is sevenfold. Inside you will have further details and further categories. But these are the 7 categories that make up the world. Categories is loosely used here, okay? Not very precisely used. In English, for want of another word. Because padartha, I can't say word and meaning. Can't say word and object because guna is not an object. So padartha is what is nameable. What is nameable? Now Vedanta reverses the whole thing and says everything that is there is only Namarupa. Therefore mithya. Okay? So be aware of the different standpoints. In Vedanta, everything is Namarupa, therefore mithya. Here, these 7 categories are taken as existing entities. Separately, independently existing entities. For the time being independent, later on we will see.
So it subsumes all reality.
Yes. Yeah. Like how you say in science, atoms and molecules make up the whole universe. It's the same way here. But within that, then there are further things. No? Different atoms of different elements, metals, organic, inorganic molecules, subatomic particles. So, all that is there.
Swamiji?
Yeah.
Just one question.
Yeah.
In the last class, you had mentioned about the 12 darshanas. The
6 darshanas, huh? Yeah.
Now, as per the Nyaya Vaisheshika darshana, as we are getting into all of these categories, etc., but what is their definition of moksha, or what is the end goal in all of this?
Yeah, we will come to that.
Okay.
The end goal is very much connected to Vedanta, actually speaking. They say this is to help your mananam. Okay, yeah. That he makes it, he puts that right at the end. In some ways it would have been good to put it at the beginning, but he puts it right at the end and says the goal of Tarka is to make mananam clearer. Yeah. Yeah. Mananam clearer.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Because should we will go slow. It's Tarka, so it can be a bit difficult. New topic for you all. Okay. Hmm. Don't look for everything I say to be written down, because then you can read the book and be free from it. Yeah. So I give additional information. Yeah. Yeah. What is your question?
Yeah. One question, Swamiji. You mentioned that in Nyaya and most of these versions for modern physics, as in there is a grand norm that you can't challenge.
Yeah.
As in the fundamental assumption.
Yeah.
And that is possibly one of the distinguishing features between Vedanta and anything else.
Anything else? There are some fundamental assumptions. Yes.
Yeah. So Vedanta does not have any fundamental assumption at all. You can
No. Vedanta has a fundamental assumption that it is a pramana. Shabda pramana is an assumption. Nothing else is an assumption. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah.
These 7 categories describe your reality, or are these 7 categories that make up your reality?
Either way, they make up the reality is better way of putting it, because this is the reality that you confront. Anything that you confront in the world will be a dravya, an object, quality, function, relationships. That is why samanvaya comes in with respect to joining, sambandha. That's all, no? Guna, kriya, karma, all this is what are you confronting in the world? All this. Anything you confront in the world will be these things. So that makes up your reality. Yeah.
And who's the you, Swamiji, in all of this? Who's the you? The jiva?
Yeah, the jiva is confronting you. See, the assumption is you are looking into reality. See, the assumption is similar to science. I am here, I am confronting a world. When I am confronting a world, now I have to see what is the reality of the world. So the analysis starts with what I am confronting, what I am seeing, what I am perceiving. So then it will also go into the question of how we know what we know. That's the next step. After having described the basics, he will look into also the pramanas. And the pramanas will be based on worldly pramanas, because you are dealing with the world. Look at it, Tarka is not dealing with life hereafter. Tarka is not dealing with your moksha in the general sense of the word. Tarka is an aid to every other system that deals with these things. Because logic, you can't study anything illogically. You have to study anything that you study has to be logically studied. Illogical study is not a study. Illogical studies are brainwashing. Yeah. Belief systems oriented, na? Where is the study in it? It's only belief system. Yeah. Then if you ask too many questions, you must believe. Forget everything else. They seem, because they respect the fact that people will ask questions. But in a belief, anyone who teaches a belief system cannot answer beyond a point. You have to say, you have to believe. I didn't know, but I believe. So some beliefs, it's okay to have some beliefs in life. This is my mother, this is my father. Did all of us go and do a DNA test to find out whether we are really this person's child or not? Nobody has done. No? They brought me up good enough. That's a belief which does not create any issues. Okay? So those beliefs are fine to have. But there are some beliefs you have to live and die with. That there is a heaven and you are going to go there. Which is also fine. You do all these good things, you will go to heaven. Fine. It will not affect life. It will not affect your life. Except the fact that you have to believe in. But still it won't disturb anybody else. But if your belief system is, for me to do this, I have to act against that guy, act against this guy, convert him to my religion or kill him off, then that belief system is a problematic belief system. If my belief systems put me as superior to everybody else and look down upon everything else, then you're going against basic human rights. And if conversion is necessary, again it's against basic human rights. Someone out of a personal experience converted to some other religion, I respect that, because that is his personal thing. That is his personal choice. That's respectable. Why? Because it's personal choice. We always respect personal choice. But a mass conversion based on running down the other religion. Because how can you convert someone unless you run down that guy's religion? Therefore, there is an act of violence in it. And if there is real violence, it makes it worse. Convert or leave, like what had happened to the Kashmiri Pandits. So these type of belief systems are the problematic ones. Other belief systems are not problematic. So it's okay to have a belief system. But then it is not based on knowledge. It is only based on beliefs. So if you believe in heaven, both of us have to die and go to the same place, and you can tell me, "Dekha na, main bola tha." Otherwise, how can you say that? Okay? Yeah. Some belief systems are also illogical belief systems. Like heaven is eternal is an illogical belief system. That there is karma, karma phala, there is some logic supporting it. This is not proving logic, supporting logic is there. There is a rebirth, supporting logic is there. Not proving logic, supporting logic. That much is available. So fine. Okay. You can afford to have a belief like that because there is some supporting logic. But if there is no logic, supporting or otherwise, and it is illogical, better drop that belief. Because it doesn't work. Yeah. It's not logical. There is no support system available. Then why are you having that belief? So this is where Tarka comes in. Why? It shows you what is logical, what is not logical. So it helps in that. Okay, that's the role of Tarka. Therefore, Tarka Shastram tu Sarva Shastra Upayogi, he'll say. It is helpful for all Shastras. To understand all Shastra, it is helpful.
Swami, I had a question.
Shoot.
These seven padarthas which they say, is they come to conclusion on the basis of three means of knowledge which they bring.
Yeah.
That is the
Yeah. Perception, inference, etc. is the main thing. Yeah. Because isn't that how you start off your life? Let us say you are studying science. How do you start off? Data and inference, no? Isn't it? How do you start off? Some comparative knowledge. That's how it starts.
So perception, inference, and upamana. The other two they don't believe in.
They believe in four. I'll come to that. When they're dealing with pramana, let's come to that at that time. Okay.
Swami, when you study science and the atomic, the nature of the atom and all, we don't really see it. We just take it for granted. Is that not the belief?
See, no, it is not a belief system because somebody has seen it. I may not have seen it, but somebody has seen it and recorded it. See, everything in science is not seen by everybody.
Yeah.
But the scientists have seen it and recorded it. There is photographic evidence available for me to verify. And if I want to do it, I can verify it myself. But it will take time and effort. Yeah, it's verifiable. It's verifiable. And that is why every scientific paper, when you say that you have discovered something or you propound a theory, there is something called a peer review. Other scientists should review it and say, yes, this is true. Number one. Like if you are a theoretical physicist who are saying this is true, then you always have an experimental physicist who has to experimentally prove that what you are saying is right. So that is why we can accept science as a body of knowledge, not as a belief system.
Okay. Then what about reincarnation when people have come?
Reincarnation, etc. are logical beliefs. They are beliefs, but they are logical. There is supporting evidence and supporting logic available, but they are belief systems. They are beliefs. Reincarnation is a belief, but supported by logic, and supportive evidence is there. Proving evidence is not there. Proving logic is not there. Supportive logic is there. Pramana is a shastra for it. But supporting logic is available. There is supporting logic available.
So Swamiji, the gap between when a theoretical physicist puts forward a theory and it is experimentally verified, in that gap it is still abhava.
Yeah, that proof abhava is there. Correct. Sometimes it takes 25 years, 30 years for something to be experimentally verified. Lot of Einstein's conclusions are still being verified.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that is 30, 40 years ago. Still being verified. That is why when you are dealing, this is one thing that all of you have to keep in mind, because even though I am teaching Tarka, I am also referring back to Vedanta, okay, in certain things. That what you take as a fact is only Vyavahara Yogyam, transactionally valid, not more than that. Because Tarka is dealing with the functional reality. It is not, even science is dealing with the functional realities, even though they claim you are looking for the building block of life. They claim that. But since the approach is perception and inference based predominantly, it will be other than you. Because you need an observer. And you are studying the observed. Therefore, who is going to study the observer? Who is going to observe the observer? That question will come up in science. Who is going to observe the observer? That question will always come up in science. And when the original Big Bang happened, who is the observer of the Big Bang? For you to call it an event. The big question in science. Because the fundamental premise in science is an event has to have an observer. Because, and if consciousness is an evolute from matter, consciousness is derived from matter, that means consciousness came later. So at the start, where was consciousness? There is no consciousness who is observer. That's where Vedanta comes in and says Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman, beyond time and space, independent of time and space. Then the whole picture changes. Matter becomes an evolute of consciousness. Ulta it becomes. In fact, not an evolute, a manifestation. Because consciousness cannot evolve. It is free from time. Free from time. Therefore, that matter, what you call as matter, is only an evolute of Maya. Maya you can talk about as evolute. With the help of Maya, consciousness manifests itself as matter. Why? Because consciousness is something that is existing. So here, when you say 7 dravyas in Tarka, all of them, when you're looking at it through Vedanta eyes, all of them have to be dependent on Sat existence. That's where the difference comes in, okay? That's where the difference comes in. I'm saying all this, normally when I'm teaching Tarka, I wouldn't bother about Vedanta. But I'm saying this because I don't want you all to be confused. Okay? I don't want you all to be confused in terms of Vedanta. Yeah. Because I remember one character whom I know went on to study Tarka. And he got so involved in it, he became a Tarkika. In fact, we used to call him Nayayika. His name was Surendra, not you. What is that? Another guy. The another guy is Surendra, okay? Young man. And he was, we used to call him that, Nayayika. Then I said, come, I'm teaching Vedanta Paribhasha. उसमें क्या होता है? न्याय खंडन होता है. न्याय का कैसा खंडन हो सकता है? I said, आके बैठ क्लास में, सुन. And every time न्याय is being dismissed, ये से कैसा हो सकता है? I said, give me a counter argument. I'm open to it. Give me a counter argument, no? I'm open to it. So that class was interesting. But I'm not going to take this class at that level, okay? Even when we do Vedanta Paribhasha. Because that he was a Shastri as far as Tarka was concerned. So there was some level of arguments. Maybe that when the ashram comes up and there are full-time students, and after the full-time students graduate, I'll call them back and do it at that level. Okay. Between courses, I will give them, okay, here, 1 month, we'll do that. So that time we can have that level. So this will prepare you all for that level, okay? Yeah. Step by step, everything happens, okay? All right. So Sapta Padartha is clear, okay? All right. Then he is taking the first Padartha, Dravyam, and is going into that. Tatra Dravyani Prithvi Apta Tejaha Vayu Akasha Kala Dig Atmana Manasi. Okay. These are the Navadravyani. People unmute themselves and don't mute back. Okay. Navadravyanis. Now, Sapta Dravyas make up the world. Then Sapta Padarthas make up the world. Our first Padartha is Dravya, object. Now, object there are 9 types, he says. Dravyas. Navatra Dravyani. Here is where it overlaps with the Veda. Why? Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apa, Prithvi is taken. Then what else? Time. In Vedanta, time and space are not looked upon as different. Here, they put time as different. Kalaha. Dik, directions. Okay. And Atman, you, I, you are there or not there? है ना? कोई इंसान है उधर ना? Atman. They don't bother to define what the Atman is. Later on we will see. They'll talk about the Atman, but later on we'll see. Okay? Manasi and your mind. Because you're thinking. You're thinking and feeling entity. You're thinking and feeling entity. That is there. Your thoughts are there. Your feelings are there. They are valid entities. So they are called as dravyas. objects. They are not taken as gunas. They are not taken as gunas. Okay? So a little bit of metaphysics is also involved in it. It is not just physics. A little bit of metaphysics part come into it because manas is taken to account. Your thinking. And in your thinking, how does your thought happen? So pramanas will come into the picture from there. And manasa, emotions will come into the picture. Because your emotions create objects. Atman, you exist as a person, as an entity. Therefore, we are talking about the Jivatman here, okay? When they talk about the Atman, you are talking about the Jivatma. Not Satyam Jnanam Anantam Atma. Just because you heard the word Atman, don't jump into Vedanta and say Satyam Jnanam Anantam. No. Or Sachidananda Swarupa. No. Jivatma.
So within Jivatma, they look at the Jivatma and the Manas.
Yeah, as separate entities. Jivatma and the Manas are looked upon as separate entities. Yeah, because it says Manas is connected with the Jiva, and how it is connected, etc., they will talk about. Okay. Yeah?
Some of the aspects are such that they can be measured, some cannot be measured.
Cannot be?
Measured.
Yeah. They are not always measurable. Correct. Yeah. Now, so how will you define Dravyam? The question will come up. Because when you are saying Dravya, you have to define it. No? Padartha we define Padasya Artham. That is. Now remember, when you are using the word definition, there is a difference in the way science will use the word definition and the way the darshana will use the word definition. In science, for example, when you define an atom, there is a particular definition which will make you understand what the atom is about or a molecule is about. Like the smallest indivisible part of a material. Beyond that, the material disappears. If you go smaller than that, the material will disappear. Atom. So you understand something about it. Whereas in these darshanas, a definition is only meant to point out what it is. Itarebhya sarvebhya vyavartakam lakshanam. Vyavartakam lakshanam. To point out something distinct from something else. So dravyatvam, dravyatya jatimatvam is called dravyam. That belongs to a class of dravyas will be called dravya. Or it will be called gunavatvam va, that which becomes the basis for gunas, because guna cannot exist without a dravya. The guna must join a dravya. Saffron cannot exist by itself, it has to join cloth. A color cannot exist by itself, it has to join cloth or something else. So gunavatvam dravyam. Now, okay, so dravyatam is very clear. No object. Gunavatvam or dravya jatimatvam belongs to jati or dravya. That means it is not guna, it is not karma, it is not this thing. You have to understand it that way. It's a negative definition, even though put positive. Now, when you are defining, you have to keep 2-3 things in mind. One is called avyapti. It's too narrow. Like you are defining a cow. Cow. Okay. Shweta gunavan. Shweta gunavan pashuhu goho. Shweta gunavan pashuhu go. The pashu, the animal, which is white in color. Now this is avyapti. It doesn't cover brown cows. It won't cover cows of different colors, variegated colors. It won't cover. So this is called avyapti. It is not broad enough to cover all cows. Okay. All right. Supposing I give a definition like this. Shringavan goho. The one with horns is cow. This becomes ativyapti. Too broad. It includes buffaloes also into it. It includes an elephant also into it. Correct? Sringavan, the one with horns, is. So this is called Ativyapti. Avyapti, not broad enough, too narrow. Ativyapti is too broad. Okay. So it should be just right. So how will you define a cow like that? Tell me.
Yes, Swamiji, I can tell you.
Tell me.
The cow, the animal which has that dewlap.
You are either read the translation or remembered what you said, what I told you last time. The one that has the dewlap. Remember that thing hanging from the neck? Only cows have it. Now, when you say the one who has the dewlap is a cow, do you really understand what the whole cow is about? No. But it serves a purpose. What is that? Vyavartakam lakshanam. It identifies it as distinct from other things. Itarebhya sarvebhya vyavartakam lakshanam. That is what a lakshana is meant for, to point out. This becomes very interesting. Why? Because the very definition of lakshana is like this. You will have two types of lakshanas. Remember the two types of lakshanas? Swarupa lakshana, tatastha lakshana. Because you are using to point out which is your house. The one with the crow sitting on that balcony, that is tatastham. The crow will not be there next time you come to my house. Next minute it may fly away. But right now it is there, so you understand the house. Tatastha lakshanam or Swarupa lakshanam. Oh, it is flat number 702 on the 7th floor, right hand side. This, you are defining what it is. You are describing it as what it is, location, etc. Wise. That's Swarupa lakshana. So similarly for Brahman also the same thing is there. What is Tatastha lakshanam for Brahman? Janmadhyastiyataha, that from which the world has come, etc. That is Tatastha lakshana. Swarupa lakshanam is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman. So both the lakshanas are there when it comes to. That's why I am going to bring in Vedanta into the Tarka class so that confusion levels are down. Okay? You won't become like the Nayayika. Alright, so Dravyatvam. Now, in the translation you may find a little bit confusion. Okay? Akasha is put as ether and Dik is put as space. Where did this ether thing comes about? Okay, this ether question. What is this ether stuff, you know? When science first started, science, not Tarka, modern science, but we are talking about a couple of 100 years back. The scientists actually believed that space was filled with a non-experiential matter called ether. They actually believed this. So all the people who translated came from that background. Therefore they put, you will find in the old translation, old books you will find this. Even Vedanta books you will find it. Ether. Not true. What is ether in medicine? Yeah, something complete. Yeah. So, this is how the word ether has come. Okay? Because dravyatvam is gunavatvam, they included directions. North, south, east, west, gunas, no? It has got a quality. And it has, therefore there is a direction called north, is right there. Where is your ashram land? It's the north of this place. It's a place, no? Therefore, they included that into a dravya. Then there is an argument here. Why not include andam tamaha, darkness, tamas, as dravyam, the 10th dravya? Why not? Because, of course, now in Bombay it is not possible. But if there was a time when we used to go to a village in Kerala, and of course you off the light and all, go to sleep. In between you get up, you want to go to the bathroom. It is so dark, so inky blackness. You will feel there is an inky blackness there. Because of their experience, and remember this was written during village life. Tarka was written a few hundred years ago. Why not tamas as the 10th dravya? So there is a small discussion on it, and he comes to a conclusion in Tarka. Okay, we will look at it slightly different. Tamas is nothing but the absence of light. If you say, I can see the inky blackness, that is called erroneous perception. Because all perception depends upon light. Therefore, absence of light is what we call as darkness. Therefore, darkness cannot become the 10th dravyam. Look at it, very strange, na? Very peculiar. They are in a way a little self-contradictory, because you are accepting abhava as a padartha. But you are not accepting andam tamaha or tamas as dravya. Okay. Therefore, thoda gadbad hai idhar. These are the fallacies for pinpointing. Okay. 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 Clear up to now? What is the question? Volume. Okay. I speak a bit louder. Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. I will repeat the question with somebody else. Anyone have a question here? No.
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah. What is that, Rohit? Tell me.
So, you just said that ether, scientists used to say non-experiential.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here it is written akasha. So,
Yeah.
here what does it?
So we take it as akasha. The translation is the problem. In the translation, it is taken as ether, and that is why I was dismissing it, because there is nothing called ether in space. But space can be taken because space is experienced by everyone. See, for dravya,
Akasha is sky, right?
no, akasha is space. Not only. When the word, see, that is because of your confusion with regional languages. In regional language, akasha means sky. In Sanskrit, akasha means space, because the definition of akasha, especially in Vedanta, is avakasha pradatruh akasha. That which accommodates everything is called akasha. Therefore, akasha cannot be sky, it has to be space, by the very definition. Okay? So, akasha is space.
And dik is also space.
Dik is directions. That is why, if you go to a village, you will have a grama devata. Sometimes you will also have a dik devata, the lord of the directions. In fact, all right, if you look into the temple vastu or the vastu of a place, okay, especially with regards to a temple, east is supposed to be the Lord, okay, north is meant for the Guru, okay, south is meant for Lord Death. So like this, each direction is assigned to something. Then there are further sub-directions also, if you are looking at it purely from the worship angle. Okay, in terms of putting up temples, etc., northeast will be for the temple, northwest will be for the Devi, depends on the kshetra, etc. In fact, very interesting to go and see for all people here. You know, in places like Agmar Mutt here in Andheri, or Agmar Mutt here in Andheri, where I'm going after the class, or in the Subramanya Matha there, when they draw a yantra, say Devi Puja something, they draw a yantra, each of the 24 directions they will have a Devata there. Therefore, directions became very important culturally because of worship, etc. Therefore, they have put directions as one of the dravyas. See, you should see, also understand, no knowledge, no discipline of knowledge exists without a background. Remember this, no discipline of knowledge will exist without a background, including science. Therefore, what is the cultural, socio-cultural background will influence the discipline of knowledge. There are hundreds of such things in science also, okay, where the influence came in. That is why science in some ways had to rebel against the church. Copernicus, etc. was thrown behind the bars. Yeah. Can you imagine that? Because you agreed with the Bible, you are thrown behind the bars. Many mystics were burnt at the stake as witches, just because they followed a different body of knowledge. Yeah. So, even in modern life, direction becomes a very important point. No? Can you think of any human activity without direction? North, south, east, west? We think we don't. Where are you going? Oh, Borivali from here. How do you go? Google Map hai na? Google Map. Phone mein. Google Map, and I'll follow the Google Map. Yeah, but the Google Map is based on directions. North, south, east, west, otherwise you can't have a map. You cannot have a map without north, south, east, west. Impossible to make a map. That is why you are going to buy an apartment in a building in Bandra West, let us say. Bandra West, sophisticated building, 20 floors. You are buying an apartment. There are some 80 apartments in that building. You are buying one apartment. So they will give you the floor plan and the building plan, he will give it to you. And if you notice in the right hand side corner, or either top or below, there will be directions given. Where is north will be pointed out. Why? Why do I have to know? Building kidhar hai? Which direction is facing? But I don't believe in Vastu. You don't believe in Vastu? No. So you want the flat open to the east and west or north and south? If you believe in Vastu, you will say east and west. If you believe in modern thing, you will say north, south. Then less cost of heating. Air conditioning will be less because the sun is not coming in. Na? So I don't believe in Vastu. But I believe in air conditioning and things like that. Take east west is better. Okay. Vastu wise, energy wise. I don't believe in all that. Then you take north south. And these principles also will change depending upon where you build. You can, in Bombay, you can easily make out where the builder is. You see, a builder is a Jain builder from Rajasthan or from Bombay. If it's a builder from Rajasthan, guaranteed flats will be north-south direction. North-south openings. Why? Hot there. Take heat into account is important in the desert. Desert climate heat. So directions become important there. You can't say directions are not important. Remember, we are dealing with functional realities. We are not dealing with absolute reality. Therefore, dik becomes one of the dravya. Because nameability is there. You can name it. There are gunas associated with it. You can point it out as different from something else. North is definitely different from any other direction. You have Dik Devatas. Can you see all the reasons why this also becomes a direction becomes a dravya? Because you are dealing with functional realities. We are not dealing with objects in the sense of the way modern science uses it. That's a paradigm difference. Oh, then all this is non-scientific. Correct. And you are non-Tarkika. The Tarkika can turn around and say, science doesn't have Tarka in it. Correct. Remember my article, The Tyranny of Science? Read that. You require the touchstone of science to prove everything is right. You have to go, yeah. Which is not true. There are huge bodies, disciplines of knowledge. Now, this book is very often compared to science because it's dealing with functional realities, and we are talking about what is reality and not reality. Okay? Then in dravyas, now one of the definitions of dravya is gunavatvam. It has got gunas. But now, to differentiate between dravya and guna, Tarka comes up with a logic which Vedanta will never accept, even science, modern science will not accept it. That is, like, what is a pot? Okay. Something that has space in it and has got one opening at least. Correct? One opening at least. Therefore, the gunas of pot exist in pot. Now, what is gunas of pot? Let us say potness for convenience. Potness will exist in pot. Tableness will exist in table. Then what will be the difference between guna and dravya? The Tarkika brings in his argument here, saying that at the first kshanikam is less than a second, first moment of his creation, nirgunam tishtati, it exists without any gunas. Then the potness comes into the pot to make it a pot. This is just to make the difference between dravya and guna. Vedanta dismisses it. Vedanta will say what you call dravya is nothing but gunas. Now look at it from the Vedantic standpoint. Whatever you call as dravya is nothing but gunas. Because what is the substance? Forget cloth. Take any substance. What is the thing called substance? You are only defining qualities for me. What is this? You will describe color, shape, fall, etc. No? All qualities. Gold, atomic weight, this thing, malleability, electric, a good conductor of electricity, etc. All qualities. Where is substance? Therefore, Vedanta will go to the other side and say, there is nothing called dravyam, there is nothing called substance. It's all mithya. It's all mithya. That is the Vedanta standpoint. Here, because only functional realities, you will say, dravyam, gunavatvam, that which is the locus for gunas, exists. Clear up to now? Okay, I am deliberately bringing in the Vedanta point of view because I don't want you all to end up as Tarkikas and get confused. This is why Puja Swamiji never taught it in a course, because the people will get confused. He saw that Nayayika going off.
Swami, the whole Greek seems, or Greek rather, not Greek or directions, it kind of seems more like a guna of the earth, right? I mean, in the sense that
Yeah.
unless you have
True. But remember, you are dealing with the functional realities on earth.
Right.
So that's how it came in. That's why I gave you the background, why it became important. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's why the socio-cultural background for taking it as a, for dealing with the reality.
Understood.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Swamiji,
Huh?
Swamiji,
One second. Yeah.
I'm just saying, suppose I'm looking at person, I'm looking at myself. So like when I come into this thing, I can be categorized with a substance, I can be categorized based on my quality. Same person who can be quality.
Yes. Therefore, it is not hard and fast divisions. Correct? Yeah.
Number two, when you say classification of substance, I mean, when we entered the class many years ago, we all thought each one is an individual with a
Yeah.
separate atma.
Correct. So that's the standpoint they are taking. Yeah.
Precisely where we started doing it.
Yeah.
This text is about our
Correct.
understanding of
Yeah. See, but I didn't do this then because then it will be very confusing. That's why I didn't do it then. But olden days, grammar, then Tarka, only then Vedanta. Yeah. Yeah, Falguni, you had a question.
yes, Swamiji. So I just wanted to understand that our Vedanta, the cause and effect, can it be like a Dravya and Guna? Wherever there is Guna, there is Dravya, wherever. So can it be like a cause and effect?
Yeah, you can, not cause and effect. You can only talk about coexistence.
Okay.
When one is there, the other is also there. Coexistence. Because remember that Pratama Kshanam Nirgunam Tishtati. That's what Tarkikas include that idea, introduce that idea to dismiss this. Because all gunas are not caused by dravyas. But all gunas exist in a dravya. We'll see that. When you are dealing with gunas, we will see that. Maja aata? Yeah, maja aayega. So, good place to stop. Okay. We'll go into gunas next time. Think it over. If there are any questions, shoot. Om Tat Sat.